Hello, this is Postdoc Chronicles week number 63, and today we're featuring the game on the Nintendo Switch known as Tokitori. So this is an old game by a developer known as Two Tribes, and it was actually released initially on the Game Boy Color, okay, Tokitori, and then they added like some levels and stuff, and then they later on released it on the 3DS, the Tokitori, and then eventually they released it later on the Nintendo Switch with like improved graphics, 60 frames per second, and then the added stages, HD rumble, and on all that. And yeah, basically I have all these games, on the various handhelds right here, right? So it's very cool. Okay, let me do that for like the thumbnail for my YouTube video. Anyway, okay, so you have Tokitori. So what is this game about? So basically, Tokitori is a puzzle game, a brutal puzzle game at that. And basically, you're this guy, you're this bird dude. I don't, maybe his name is Tokitori, I don't know. But basically, you are like thrust into a stage, and your job is to collect all the eggs within the stage. So it starts very simple, very straightforward. Early stages, you have like maze-like stages. You just have to, pick the eggs at a specific order, because if you like you jump first, then he has like this Tokitori guy has a limited move set on his own. So if you like jump first, I mean there's like an egg here, you can't get it. But the nice thing about this game is like there's a rewind feature, you can restart right away. So it's really more of a puzzle game rather than a platformer. So it focuses on how you plan ahead in order to collect all the eggs within a stage. So it may look cute, but then later on the stage men, they become so brutal. So the thing that makes it more interesting is that in the stage, some stages, the later stages, you are given like a specific move set. For example, in this particular stage, you have one bridge, you have one ladder, you have one teleport. Okay, so now you have like various eggs. So how would you utilize these different move sets, these different skills in order so as to collect all the eggs within the stage? So it's really very nice because like there's a gap here. Do I use like the bridge here? Do I use teleport here? Do I use a ladder on this area? Do I use the ladder first before the teleport and so on? And yeah, it requires a lot of planning. And when you solve it, it's really very satisfying. But then there are some puzzles that are like menacingly hard. So if you look at like his image right here of Tokitori, he looks very cute. It's like, so I can imagine, parents going to video game stores or looking at the Nintendo eShop, and they're like, oh, look at this guy, he's very cute. This must be something for my kids. Man, like I will really be amazed by kids who can complete this stage. The first like level, it's fine, they can do it, but man, later stages requires very hard thinking. So it reminds me of like Professor Layton, these kinds of game where they're like, at first glance, they're like designed for kids. Professor Layton, very cute with the look and stuff, and his gang, they look very cutesy. But man, hidden within a game is like a very hardcore intellectual puzzle game. This is it right here. Tokitori is like that. So it's one of the amazing games. It's like what they call this game, a Sokoban. The push game, but taken to a higher level. So it has, yeah, it's mainly a puzzle game, and it's also bite size. That's why it works very well on the Game Boy Color, on the 3DS and stuff. And yeah, another nice note. I believe the guys who made this Two Tribes, I believe that they're retired now. Their last game is also on the Nintendo Switch. I have it. It's called the Ride. So maybe I'll feature it later on. But yeah, that's their last game. They're like retired now, but before that they made Drive, and then they basically ported Tokitori on the Switch, and also they made a sequel, Tokitori 2, which is also still hardcore in the puzzles. But the thing about Tokitori 2 is I haven't finished it, but I tried it for a little bit. It gave more emphasis on sort of like Metroidvania adventure thing. So you're not like trapped in this, single stage where you solve, collect eggs, all the puzzles. In Tokitori 2, you like move around, and after you finish the stage, then you go here, you go up, you go down. So it has some sort of like a Metroidvania feel to it. But yeah, the Tokitori one, if you want to have like some hardcore puzzles on your Nintendo Switch, definitely give this a try. But anyway, let's go to my Postdoc Chronicles. So this will be quick because last Postdoc Chronicles, I mentioned about using a lepton veto on some of our backgrounds. So over the weekend, another set of the backgrounds that I run was the W plus jet. So it took a really long time because the W plus jets, the pattern I saw has actually a huge cross section. So in fact, it has a comparable order of magnitude to the dominant background that we have, which is the multi-jets, the QCD. So I had to run it. I ran it over the weekend, so it will take more than a day if you're running a million events. So the way that it works is you simulate these events, with the specific kinematics, with the specific parameters that you want, and then after you simulate the event, you run your analysis on it. And most of the time, the analysis would also take the same amount of time that you run your background. So it's like around 2 days and stuff. So I did that for 1 million events. Fortunately, when I applied our analysis, so even though the W plus jets background is dominant, so first of all, I actually lessened the time of simulation for this background because we know that, so even though W jets could decay into some other decay modes, decay channels like leptons, for example, okay, we have a lepton veto in our analysis, so we only focus on the decay channel, the decay chain where the W's go into W plus jets, and then the W would specifically decay into quarks. Because even though we will simulate all the decays where W also goes to leptons, we have a lepton veto anyway, so it doesn't matter. So we did that, W going to the quark QQ bar, and also I look at W plus jets. So the referee did not require this. He just said, what about W plus jets? And then I tried looking at Z plus jets. It also has a comparable order of magnitude to the W plus jets and our QCD background. So I'm running the background simulation of that now. Again, only focusing on the channel of the Z where it decays to QQ bar, forgetting all the lepton channel. And also, I think I'm gonna also check out the new channel, so I'm gonna think about that. But also, the referee wanted TT bar, the TT bar background. But then when I look at it, it has a very small cross section, so it's like it's like decimal of like picobarn, like 0.5, 0.4 picobarn, whereas our most dominant backgrounds like QCD, W plus jets, Z plus jets, they are like of the order of thousands of picobarn. So basically in nanobarn range. Okay, so they're really very huge. So that's what I'm doing right now. So fortunately, so I was worried that the W plus jets and the Z plus jets would swamp our background. No, not our background, would swamp our signal because our QCD, the multijet, is the dominant background, but then after applying our cut flow or cuts, eventually it will, when we look at our signal region of interest, our signal will still be higher than the QCD multijet background. So I did that when I came last Monday. The simulation was done, so I ran the analysis and then I look at the cuts after applying the cuts to the W plus jet. So indeed it is huge. It has a very huge number of events without applying the cuts, but then eventually after we apply our different cuts, photon multiplicity, the requirement that there must be a photon within the fat jet, there must be a photon nearest to the fat jet inside it, and then there must be a specific number of fat jet multiplicity. In our case, it has to be greater than 3. Okay, so the moment you apply that, and then when you reach our relevant signal region where we look at the resonance of the Vino mass between 200 and 300 GeV, the number of events that survives there for W plus jets is basically 0. Okay, so hopefully I'm doing right now Z plus jet. So hopefully when I do the same analysis of that, when that is done, hopefully in the 200 to 300 mass resonance that we're looking at, hopefully there will be no events that will survive. Okay, so that way we can show it to the referee, we can show him the cut flow, and that should satisfy him. And so another thing, while I'm waiting for my Z plus jets background, so after that, when that is done, again, my paper is already laid out in such a way that after the background simulation is done, I just copy the numbers in the revised paper and then I show it to Deepak and Jong. So Jong would be back. Jong is like not he won't be able to reply to our emails until August 30th. So I think it will be fine by that time. I think the backgrounds would be done, and then I would show it to Deepak and Jong, and then maybe first week of this September, if we can, maybe we can like give it back to the referee with our revisions and with our rebuttals to some of his comments and criticisms, okay? But also, again, while I'm waiting for the C plus jets, because again, these backgrounds take a while, I'm also now looking at so before John left, he gave me a paper on an atlas search, basically looking at compressed scenarios. And in here, this is relevant to our MUED project, because like I said before, when we are looking at our setup and then apply the space like shower cuts on our signal, that the switch that switches the parting shower from wimpy to power. Okay, basically we expect there to have a uncertainty, but we're not seeing it. So John said, look at the compressed scenarios in this atlas paper, look at their benchmark points, and then try to apply the same wimpy versus power setting and see if we can see the uncertainty there. So right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm studying this atlas paper and then setting up this the benchmark scenarios that they have with a compressed mass scenario involving stops, you know. And yeah, we'll see what happens. So hopefully I can emulate, I can recover the uncertainties for that specific scenario. It means that I don't have a problem with my setup, and it means that we won't be doing any matching for our MUED. On the other hand, if I apply my setup on that compressed scenario, which we already know should have uncertainty, and then I don't see that uncertainty, then I would have to, you know, look at my setup again. There must be something wrong with it, obviously. But anyway, that's all I have for now for this Postdoc Chronicles week number 63. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching.